listen, baby, yeah.
Hey guys, it's your boy Malik on Fleek 3.0 back at it again with another motherfucking video. And yo, I was looking on TikTok and somebody reminded me of this, right? Somebody reminded me of this ship that I had back when I was younger. Back when I was I'm into Marvel and DC, but like not as much as I used to be, because you know I'm into anime more than I used to be in the comics and the animated shows. But whenever they do come out, especially Marvel shows and DC animated, because DC live action is ass, you already know I made a video about that a while back. But I always say that Marvel had some good decent animated shows, like some of them you really fuck with, and Ultimate Spider-Man was one of them. And I remember that I had like this guy was talking about how White Tiger and Spider-Man should have got together at the end of the show. And I wholeheartedly agree to that shit, bro. Because I remember it was this specific episode. It was that Craven episode. Like all the episodes, like I probably wouldn't see it. Like the best thing you could do is be a friend, right? Because each and every, like, remember it was Spider-Man, Nova, White Tiger, and Power Man. Those were the starting four before they start adding more to the team. But those were the first four. And each and every one of them had an episode that Spider-Man was in. You know, and it connected and shit, right? But this one specific, but none of them, Power Man, Nova, get the fuck out of there, right? They're niggas. Nobody gives a fuck. But this episode with White Tiger, cause she was going against fucking Craven the Hunter, and I remember this episode, and you know she was getting right into her like tiger instincts and shit, and Peter is trying to like calm her down, and at that moment, I was like, they will be good together. Because it's not the first time Peter Parker has messed with a cat lady. It's not the first time. And I was like, yo, they should get together. And then, you know, after, you know, years has passed, the show has ended. And I was like, and I forgot about the ship. But then, like, as I was on TikTok, I was just swiping. And then I see this nigga say, yo, let's be real. In Ultimate Spider-Man, Peter Parker should have got with Ava, which is White Tiger. And I was like, yeah, high key, they should have. And I remember when it comes to ships, I'm really heavy on them bitches, especially the ones I love. I always talk about them on YouTube. Like I already talked about Judy and Nick from Zootopia. I already talked about Damian Wayne and Raven. Those are the two biggest ones. But this one is an underrated one that I had. This was an underrated one because I remember I loved this one. And I was like kind of wishing that they would get together, even though I knew who Peter Parker would end up with. You know, he would end up with Gwen Stacy, or he would end up with Mary Jane or Black Cat. It's always those three. But let's be real, in the comics, Spider-Man has gotten with other heroes that's not within those three. Because in the Spider-Man lore, he always gets with either Mary Jane, who he is the main interest. Gwen Stacy will always die, R.I.P. But that's his first love. Then it's Mary Jane, and then there's Black Cat, who he be fucking with. Those are the main three. But it's been in the comics that Spider-Man he dated Miss Marvel for a little bit. He dated other superheroes. He did, especially the one high key I fuck with heavy. Spider-Man and Silk. First of all, Silk is fine as fuck. Silk is fine as fuck. But we're not even talking about her right now. We're talking about White Tiger. But like I said, he has been with other heroes. He's been with other people other than those main three. But everybody likes to go back to the main three because we've been pounded in our heads in the comics and shows that those are the three he will be fucking with no matter what. But he's been with other superheroes. So if Ultimate Spider-Man decided to have White Tiger and Spider-Man get together, I don't know if there'll be a backlash. depending on the people who like really don't like change, I'm fine with change, honestly. Depending on what the reason is. If it's a good reason for the said change, I'm fine with it. And this was a good reason for them to get together. Just like Damian Wayne and Raven, they were never together in the comics because it's like a 5-year age gap, if I remember correctly, or a 3-year. It's one of those three. I mean, one of those two. It's a gap between those two. They're not going to get together in the comics. They're only going to get together in a fan fix. But when the DC animated universe came about, and they were the same age, or at least one is older than the other by a year, everybody loved it. It was great. When that ship happened, everybody was about it. They loved that ship. Nobody had no problems with that ship. Matter of fact, a lot more people are saying whenever DC decided to make a new animated universe, have those two get back together. That is universal for people who watch all of the animated universe of DC, the new 52 version. Everybody fucked with it, because especially when they had that slow burn when it came to the Apocalypse War, and they finally got together. Everybody was happy, but they were also pissed that it ended that way. Like they could have did more with it, and they wanted in a new universe. And I'm one of those niggas. So if Ultimate Spider-Man decide to have White Tiger and Spider-Man get together, I'll have no problem with it. Some people don't have a problem with it because, like I said, in the comics, because before anime, I was really heavy on comics and animated shows. Because to be honest, if I decided to make a YouTube video, instead of doing the WWE stuff I used to do with my sisters, and I actually had a computer back then and decided to make commentary about stuff, this would have been one of them. It would have been about comics. Like my cousin, his name is Jensen World on YouTube. He talks about comics and stuff, and that would have been me in the early stages of my YouTube career, if I'm being honest. And this has been one of the shits I would be talking about, because I was very heavy on the comics and the animated shows at Marvel, not DC necessarily, because I didn't know about the DCAU. I'd seen some of their shows, but I didn't really care for them until I started watching their movies, and that's when I started caring about it. But when it came to Marvel animated shows, I was always on each and every one of them, and Ultimate Spider-Man was the most consistent one I was on about. And like I said, White Tiger and Spider-Man, if the writers did not care about like the backlash, if there were going to be backlash from the people, they would have had White Tiger and Spider-Man together. I guarantee it. Because I remember in the end of the show, they had Mary Jane, had Mary Jane and Peter, flirting, because, they're best friends for a long time, and now, they're going to start liking each other. Shit like that. Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares, bro? Just let... It's your original work. Because, let's be real, if you don't like Ultimate Spider-Man, you're a bitch. Because it invited so many heroes that I never even heard of into the universe. I didn't even know about Luke Cage, not once, until I saw this show. I didn't even know about White Tiger until this show. Iron Fist, never heard of him. Nova, never heard of him. I knew everything about Spider-Man, but I never knew about these niggas until this show. And they invited so many people. Deadpool, Moon Knight. This show was goated. It was goated. If you don't like it, you should be ashamed of yourself. You just don't like anything. Maybe you didn't like the direction it was headed, but I fucked with it heavy. It did a lot of things that nobody expected. Maybe because people got mad because Spectacular Spider-Man, got canceled, and this show came out literally later on. I can understand that, but if you actually watch the show, this show was good. And White Tiger and fucking Spider-Man should have got together. I will take that to the grave. I will argue about that. In this show, they should have been together. They should have got together wholeheartedly. Maybe because they were black and white. Maybe they didn't want to make an interracial relationship in this show, I guess. I don't know. I can't speak for them. But if I was a writer and I saw this, and the way, certain episodes were going on, you just like, White Tiger and Spider-Man are always together because they're a part of a team. So therefore, I'm not saying force a relationship. No, that's nobody will like that. But the way they were having people, they became like acquaintances and slowly started becoming friends, slowly becoming best friends on the team, slowly getting into a relationship. Nobody will have a problem with that. I promise you. It's the slow burn that everybody will ask for. As long as you don't force it like most cartoons used to do back in the day, nobody will have a problem with it. Because I swear to you, if White Tiger and Spider-Man got together, I will have no objections. I'll have no objections. I actually like this ship. And I wish they got together, honestly. They would have been like my Damian Wayne and Raven, honestly. I ain't gonna cap. But that's all for me. If you like those two together, just put in the comments. Malik on Fleet 3.0 out.